Saw, dude. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hill Podcast, where we sharpen your tools for the upward journey. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about why you should have a morning routine. So there's a quote by Richard Watley that goes, "Lose an hour in the morning and you'll spend all day looking for it." He's obviously alluding to the value of mornings and the things that we could potentially do with our mornings. So why take advantage of waking hours? Well, there are some really good physiological reasons. There are some good psychological reasons, and there's also some really good philosophical reasons, which I'm going to dive into in this episode. And do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, as that helps me reach a little bit higher on YouTube's algorithm. So I want to touch on this idea of momentum. So when you do small tasks, you kind of get into this mentality of, I can do it. You know, you wake up in the morning and you do your bed. That's one thing that you've accomplished for the day. And that gets you into a mentality of, you know, if I can do this small thing, what else can I do? And eventually that'll start a snowball effect that will take you to your bigger tasks that you need to get done. You have a big project for work that's due, it'll take you through that. If you've built up enough momentum, then you can get through that big exam prep that you need to do. So building up momentum early on in your day is extremely important because it sets the tone for the rest of your day. And building momentum is something we should all take advantage of early on. I encourage you all to have a perspective shift in how you look at your waking hours and how you look at your mornings. Every good book begins with a hero at the beginning of his or her journey. Think of the excitement that you experience as you see that hero preparing to leave their humble beginnings. I think an example that comes to mind is Lord of the Rings. Frodo Baggins is living in the Shire. He's living a humble existence. He's not necessarily doing anything crazy with his life. He's hanging out with Sam. He's hanging out with Merry and Pippin. And, you know, they're out in the farmer's yard stealing carrots and cabbages, and they get in trouble for it. But Frodo is ultimately called to something greater. He begins his journey, and it's extremely exciting because he ends up taking on the challenges of Middle-earth and ultimately becoming the savior of Middle-earth. And it all started with him taking those first steps in the beginning to leave the Shire and to leave and start a new beginning. That's how your morning should be. Harry Potter's another good one. Harry Potter's living in the world of muggles. He's living with his aunt and uncle, and he's not necessarily doing anything great until Hagrid shows up on his flying motorbike and offers him this one opportunity to go to the School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Hogwarts, and start his life anew. He has to start a new beginning. Your mornings should be like that. And then last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about Gladiator. Gladiator is an awesome example of this because Maximus Decimus Meridius is one of the leading generals in the Roman army. And he's living comfortably. He has the esteem of his soldiers. He has the esteem of Marcus Aurelius, the emperor at the time. But everything comes to an end when the emperor's son becomes jealous and has Maximus thrown in prison, and eventually Maximus becomes a slave. But it's at this point that he begins his new beginning. And in this new beginning, Maximus, as a slave, becomes more powerful in the end than the emperor. So he had to take those initial steps, unwillingly in his case, but he took those initial steps and began a new journey. And I want you guys to think of your mornings as something kind of like that. Your mornings are an opportunity to begin your journey. And ultimately, you never know if this is the morning that could start an exciting new journey where you reach a whole nother level of accomplishment. We all crave novelty in something new. It's part of the human condition. We want to see what opportunities lie out there for us, and the mornings are an incredibly powerful opportunity for us to take advantage of this novelty-seeking behavior that we as humans have. Okay, so let's talk physiology. When you wake up in the morning, there are certain hormones and neurotransmitters that make you primed for productivity, primed for work, and primed for getting things done. There are certain wakefulness hormones like cortisol. And cortisol, okay, in high amounts, it's not the best thing in the world because it's degenerative, and when you stay in states of high stress, it's not too good for you. But cortisol mobilizes glucose into the bloodstream, and it essentially allows you to produce more ATP. And when you have more ATP produced, you're more energetic, you're more able to focus, and you're more able to get things done that you need to do. Additionally, histamine also goes up in the morning. Now, we all associate histamine with allergies and, you know, sneezing and just not feeling too great, but histamine is incredibly important for wakefulness. And as you wake up in the morning, both cortisol and histamine are at their highest levels, and they tend to decrease as the day goes on. Contrary to that, adenosine starts off extremely low in the morning and increases throughout the day. So first thing in the morning when you wake up, adenosine is almost at zero. And then as the day goes on and as adenosine builds up, you begin to feel more tired. Adenosine functions to slow down heart rate. It functions to slow down blood flow to different organs throughout the body, and it overall dampens the activity in the brain. To get into the realm of neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin are also at their highest levels first thing in the morning. And we know that dopamine is extremely powerful for getting things done. If you have higher levels of dopamine, you're going to get more pleasure from the activities that you're doing. You're going to feel more motivated. You're going to feel more driven. Same thing with serotonin. Well, not exactly the same thing, but you're going to feel more comfortable with what you're doing. You're going to be more at peace with what you're doing. So taking advantage of the morning hours and the neurotransmitters and the hormones that are available is an incredibly powerful tool for productivity and for getting things done. Additionally, I want to note that in the morning, your brainwave states also reflect different activity. So your brain sends off certain signals and certain neurons are firing at the same time. And this produces what are known as brain waves. EEGs can pick this up. And through the data that we have available, we have found that in the morning, you are higher in gamma and you are higher in beta waves. And what does this mean? So when you wake up in the morning, your brain is functioning at a higher level. The neuronal activity in your brain is firing a little bit quicker. Thus, you have more brain activity going on, and this means that you're going to feel more alert, you're going to feel more awake. It's an incredibly good time to get things done. To take advantage of the physiology of the morning, I would say that you need to get a good night's sleep. These two work extremely closely together. If you don't get a good night's sleep, all the hormone secretion, all the neurotransmitter activity will be suppressed and you won't get that full advantage of the morning. So if you're looking to get the most out of your morning, not only physiologically, but psychologically and philosophically, I would say try walking outside. Get some light exposure. Reason being that blue light increases our secretion of different hormones like epinephrine and norepinephrine, which increase our heart rate and which get us ready to do different things throughout the day. I would also try meditating or journaling first thing in the morning. This is because when you wake up, you still have that chance to have some dream recollection. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from our dreams. Our dreams are essentially a subconscious work through of the conscious things that we've experienced through the day. So if you write down in your journal the dream that you experience, however weird it might be, perhaps there might be some wisdom and knowledge to be found in that. Because as we dream, we are trying to essentially process everything that happened throughout the day. And calling to mind the things that we experience in our dream through journaling allows us to bring it to conscious mind and to potentially work through it. In the morning, you should also take care of your nutrition. I wouldn't suggest a high-carb breakfast as that'll lead to that sugar rush and then the sugar crash. You want to have things that are a little bit lower on that glycemic index. I would say some quality fats and a good bit of protein to start off your day. You want a meal that has a lot of sustenance to it, a lot of nutritional value. And I would say your biggest meal should be first thing in the day. Reason being that having a bigger meal is associated with having a better mood. There are some studies out there that talk about how individuals who do not consume a breakfast are more likely to experience anxiety and depression. So it is imperative that first thing in the morning, you have a big meal. This kicks off your metabolism. This gives you the nutrients you need to do what you need to do, and you're going to feel great through the rest of the day. And as you get closer to dinner time, this is when you should start tapering off and having smaller and smaller meals. So big meal in the morning to kick off metabolism and get the advantages of feeling good. And then as you get closer to dinner, smaller and smaller meals. That way your stomach doesn't have to process as much when it's getting ready to go to sleep. I'd also suggest having water first thing in the morning. Reason being that water serves to flush your system. It gets rid of toxins and different things that the body wants to release because as you sleep, the body's going through the repair process and there's definitely some metabolic waste left over from that. Water also serves to boost metabolism as many different chemical processes within the body use water in the reactions, whether that be energy creation or the breakdown of food. Lastly, I might suggest running or doing some weightlifting in the morning. Reason being that you can kick up the endorphins, and endorphins essentially serve as painkillers that give you a good feeling, and they kind of resemble, they're opiate-like in resemblance. So you do feel good after you get that morning run, and it's I think the saying is what runner's high, they call it. Yeah, it's essentially like you're getting an opiate rush. So you have this natural opportunity. So it's impossible for me to talk about morning routines without looking a little bit into sleep. There's something to be said about chronotype. Certain people have a proclivity towards waking up later in the day, whereas other people are morning larks and they do better waking up early in the morning. Now, I think this is something that can be trained, and there's data on this. If you establish a consistent sleep schedule, you can overcome your feelings of having to wake up later because you get on a specific circadian rhythm, and there's a lot of interplay between light and dark cycles. If you expose yourself at specific times throughout the day to light, specifically blue light, to get those hormones going, then you're going to be more likely to be awake at those hours on a more consistent basis. So getting on a set schedule for sleep is incredibly important for managing a good circadian rhythm and ensuring that melatonin is secreted at the right time, so that way you can get into a good restful state. I'd also suggest limiting food before sleep. As I mentioned earlier, it takes a lot of work for your body to break down food. So as you sleep, it's incredibly important that your stomach isn't the thing that's active. Instead, your body is focused on the repair process. It's focused on getting rid of different waste products, and it's focused on repairing muscles that you might have damaged throughout the day. So instead of having your body focus on food, have a light meal before you go to sleep, or try to avoid and maybe even eat within a specific 8 to 10 hour window. That's incredibly powerful, and there are tons of scientific benefits for eating within a window, and this is known as time restricted eating. So there's a huge amount of interplay between sleep quality and morning productivity. The better sleep you get, the more productive you'll be able to be in the morning, and thus the better day you'll be able to have. And if you're looking to be successful, this is honestly like a biohack that you should take advantage of. So in closing, I encourage you all to have a perspective shift. Look at mornings as the beginning of a new journey, like the beginning of a hero's journey. There's tons of novelty to be found, and you can gain momentum to crush your goals. There are tons of physiological reasons too as to why you should wake up early and take advantage of the morning. You need to work with your body and not against it. And if hormone secretion and neurotransmitter levels are optimized in the morning, use these physiological aspects to crush your goals. Before you wake up, set everything out that you will need for the morning. Preset everything you need. If you're going to go run, have your running shoes out, have your shorts ready to go. That way when you wake up, you can get that blazing start. You can get that momentum started. To truly enjoy the benefits of the morning, you have to take care of sleep. I can't emphasize this enough. You want to take advantage of the body's physiology, you need to get that sleep. So your waking hours are a great time to align yourself for success for the rest of the day. And ultimately, the process of goal completion, the process of success, is the effort that you put in on a daily basis. You have to start small, and then you can eventually make it big. So thank you for joining me on today's episode. And if you like this video, if you like what you heard, hit that thumbs up button and give me a subscribe, as this helps me get my message out. You guys have a good one.